Okay, I'm doing this because I feel it is probably the best way to explain most of this functionality. So to start off, we have controls for the entire upper body. Pretty simple there. And I set up some spline IKs on the back, which gives us some nice twisting functionality here, which is pretty nice. Does some weird things if I start moving around too much, but that's fine. Next, we have the feet. Simple IK setup here, which just gives me able to kind of lock the foot in space, which of course also lets me do this. I have the knee pull back to constraint, which lets me kind of rotate the angle of the knee a little bit more precision if required, of course. And then this is where we get something a little bit different. I decided to use a reverse footlock, which lets me both rotate from the toes and from here, which lets me keep contact on the ground much easier than trying to turn them individually, which is very nice there. So it's nice and easy to just pose out a nice kind of standing stance and such. Then the arms, the shoulders were difficult because, you know, the hat is in the way, so it's difficult to get some controls that kind of worked underneath there, but I think I did an okay job in terms of there. I've got these controls locked because I don't want the arms getting confused in terms of which way they would turn. And the wrist, although I was considering a method to rotate the forearm, it was a little bit late before I kind of realized I needed that functionality, so it was difficult to implement it now. The fingers, I wanted some extra functionality, so I gave each of them their own controls in terms of what they can do. And they're all sort of zeroed out at the moment, but a little bit of adjustments, you can get them into some pretty good positions. Pulling those in and things like that. And on each of these, on the fingers, I have set up a attribute in the channel box here, which does tip curling. Did this because I wanted some kind of extra sort of functionality, but I don't want to like rotate and key individual controllers on the hand, so I did something quick and simple like this, which controls the tips, which I found works well. There's a couple of hand positions I wouldn't be able to get into, but there's enough functionality there to deal with. The head was interesting because the head has not actually got a neck, but there is a neck joint, so I can keep the head level and also move it just a little bit on the body, which is good to add some character. Sort of head tilt in various directions, of course. And here I decided to mess around with some aim constraints, and they work quite well on the eyes. I don't think the pivot is entirely center, but it's enough so it looks natural. And these can move individually as well. So you can do some crazy things with our eyes. It's fun. And what I also have set up here, which are these strange stars, are... Let me set them both to one. I have IK arms set up, so I can then pull these into an IK position. And in terms of blending, I think they work fairly well. Set that to a plateau tangent. Yeah, so in terms of fading between the two IK and FK positions, it wouldn't be too bad, although they wouldn't make any major movements like this anyway. Pretty happy with how that turned out. Then we have the scarf. Scarf is just all of these boxes. Just kind of joint chain all together. So, pretty simple. Can get some quick results by translating all of them at once, or translating them individually depending on how subtle or how extreme the poses might want to be. Probably do some interesting offset animation there. So that's pretty much the entire rig. Oh, and to sort of I can zero out all of these connections and it takes it back to the T-pose. Of course, it doesn't take it back to the T-pose in the other thing because I have the controllers turned off, so it does require zeroing out there. I think the main thing I'd really be missing on this is a master controller just to move the character around with ease, but that's not too bad. Over here we have some controllers which are set up on the face. I've run into some trouble, and there are some obscurities currently with the blend shapes. However, I have some blend shapes that kind of control the eyebrows both left and right, which work well. I have some sad kind of positions, some sort of frowning, angry. So we can kind of mix and match different things. Sort of basic functionality. I added the cheeks because I started with the smile, so I can bring these up to a pretty sort of happy cheek position. Same with the mouth, happy mouth. The sad face, not entirely happy with it. I should probably resculpt the face because it doesn't very well represent an unhappy face, but it's there and it works. And I added a mouth open, which works pretty well with the others in terms of a happy open mouth or a sad open mouth. Well, the sad kind of not being the best doesn't fully work. So it's a basic open close there. The inside of the mouth topology and texture was, I'm not entirely sure what I would put there yet. But I believe due to messing around with the rig so much in post, I did get some trouble with the blend shapes over here, causing some issues with the mesh, pulling out some random vertices, almost a little bit too much if I turn all of these up to max, of course. It's only subtle, so I can get away with subtle expressions at the moment, but anything too extreme does cause that problem. But it wouldn't be too difficult to just rebuild the blend shapes and set up the controllers again, though the connections are a bit tedious to do. Anyway, that's the general consensus of this rig, and overall, fairly happy with it, I think. I'll probably pull those knee joints further forward just so they don't intervene when pulling the sort of rotating the feet up too high, but that rarely happens. So in terms of what I'm going to use the rig for, in terms of the amount of functionality and problems with it, I believe pretty minimal, nothing too extreme, and that's it.